Yay!
Welcome to Pain to Passion Live. I'm so very excited because I get to interview my dear friend Alejandra Crisafulli today. She is an extraordinary human being, and I can't wait for my listeners to get introduced to you, Alejandra, because I just think the world of you. I want to read a little bit of Alejandra's bio for you, and then I'm going to let her talk because she has some amazing wisdom and nuggets to share. And I just can't wait to learn a little bit from you today. So Alejandra is an award-winning master coach and global speaker. With over 20 years of experience in coaching, training, and development, Alejandra is considered one of the pioneers of the coaching industry. She has worked with over 2,000 coaching clients, trained over 300 coaches, guided entrepreneurs to scale into multi-6 and 7-figure businesses, and has built a multi-million-dollar coffee business with her husband, Eric, spanning Southern California. Known for her engaging and compelling style, she has taken practical business expertise and married it to energetic spiritual science, giving her clients the modern-day magic that gets results without the BS. I love this bio. It's like one of my favorites. Every time I read it, it just makes me smile. But thank you for being here, Alejandra. I'm
Thank you
so
for
happy.
having me. I know, likewise.
So I would love for you to just, I know we read your bio, but a bio is kind of just like a little blurb that is kind of like the highlight reel. But what would you like to share with this Pain to Passion Live audience about who Alejandra is, what she does? Who are you?
Oh my goodness. That's such a good question, right? And always so like it's broad. There's so many aspects to who we are. So I kind of want to start with like I'm an artist in a way. Like I love the art of life. And that's what makes me why I'm saying like an artist. I actually used to be a professional ballet dancer. And in many ways, I feel like I'm dancing in my life now. I had an injury when I was 18 years old that led me to not be able to dance anymore. Excuse me. And it was such a hardship in life at that time because I had lost who I was at that point. Because it was such a big part of my identity since I was 3 years old. And anytime anybody had asked me, like, what do you want to be? I'd be like, I am what I'm going to be. Like, I'm a professional ballet dancer. That's what I am. That's what I'm going to be. And they were always like, oh, I'm kind of worried for you in case you get injured or, something happens. And I'd be like, not going to happen. And then it happened. And I really struggled there for quite some time to find my way back into loving life. And again, like that artist that I was talking about. But now I know that it was all part of God's plan and where he was calling me to and where I'm supposed to be. And now I get to dance through life doing what I'm doing as a coach and helping others. But I also have a daughter. She's turning 21 next month, which is just insane.
Wow.
That like I have an adult child. But I'm married to a beautiful man and we do have these coffee businesses as well. But I'm more so just like a learner of life. Like I don't ever want to stop learning. And I feel like the wisdom that I'm given in each layer and level that I achieve or get to is like almost like baffling, like, wow, I thought I knew a lot then. Now this all happened and I know all this now. So yeah.
Okay, I absolutely loved that. Like that whole dancing through life thing. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I danced my whole life too. I didn't get injured until I was 30.
Okay. Yeah,
But
I briefly talked about it, but like not to this extent,
But that's so encouraging to me, like that thought of we continue to have that artist inside of us and we continue to be able to like dance and create and experience life in that beautiful way. I heard someone say, I think it was yesterday, how literally every person on the planet is a creator and is a creative because God is creative and we're made in his image. Like That's
So
so
good.
cool to me. But I also love how you said, like, you're just always learning more because you're this master life coach, right? And you could be like, I know all the things, but I think that's one of the things I love most about you is you are so just like excited and engaged and energized about learning how a human works and what it means to be alive. What is one of the biggest things that you've learned about like what it means to embody like aliveness? What does that mean to you to be like fully alive?
Oh, yeah. Um, I think in order to answer that, like I kind of want to go back to what you were saying and like the
Mm-hmm.
whole master life coach. I actually used to have that attitude.
Mm,
And I felt like almost exempt from life happening to me because I had the golden key, which we can talk about in just a little bit, but I had the golden key to life. And like I had been life coaching people for many years. I've been, coaching for 2 decades now. So I had like all this experience behind me and life was great. And I very much so had that attitude that like, life is, I'm exempt from it happening to me. And I didn't know God at this point in my life.
mm,
I had been, I grew up Catholic. I got very disillusioned with religion and I stepped away completely. But I still was seeking, like I think because we are designed to be in direct relationship with him, when you don't have him in your life, you still have that seekingness because you're
yeah.
like, there's something missing, and there is. So I was that seeking, and that's how I got into life coaching. And I went down the path of metaphysical sciences, and I got my, went to school for metaphysics. And so it wasn't until 5 years ago that I got really sick and I was literally like brought to my knees.
Mm,
And it was such a humbling experience and moment in life and that's where I met him, like truly met him and started to develop a relationship with him. And it completely changed my whole perspective. So when you're talking about like being alive and that aliveness and this now dancing and the creative and the artistic, like it all comes from my relationship with him, because
mm,
there is truly like, there's stuff that happens that's challenging and that's hard, but it's different when you're not doing it alone. And then you have
yeah.
the healing work that I've done for so long and help others do, that there's this foundation that it's like, I'm not asleep anymore, is
Mm,
kind of like what it feels like. And that aliveness is this like taking each day and moment of like that wondrous child who wakes up on Christmas morning and is like, yay, what do we got today?
yes.
you know
Yes.
and there's definitely times of like sadness and anger, and but underlying that is still the hope
Hmm.
um, that guides me each day.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I definitely see in you, I just want you to know this, like I definitely see in you like the childlike wonder
Mhm.
of what it means to be in relationship with God. And I haven't met a lot of people who met God at the age that you met God. They're just, I haven't encountered that many in my
Yeah,
circle. And so seeing how that has unfolded in your life and just like seeing how you're still so excited about God, it's really, really encouraging. And for those of us who maybe like, I have had a relationship with God since I was like 4 years old,
yeah,
and it's been my constant, it's been consistent. Um, and again, it doesn't mean that life hasn't thrown trial. In
right.
fact, we're promised hardship,
Yes.
right? In the Bible, it's a promise. We
Yeah.
will experience hardship. However, I do know that I've gone through seasons of my life where I've gone numb or I haven't appreciated the relationship that I have with God. I'd love to hear, like, in your experience, what was the biggest difference? What was the biggest change for you in that before and after? How did that look different to you?
It in my work or for me personally?
Well, you can say both because I know that how it affected you personally affected your work
Oh yeah, for
significantly.
sure. Yes,
So,
it sure did.
yeah.
For me personally, it's more of the experience of each moment and each day and how life evolves. The experience before felt heavy and like hard, almost like, when you're like walking in mud and like picking up your feet, like your sneakers are like heavy with mud and just like,
Mhm.
it felt like that. The experience of life was very much so like that. And now the experience is light. There is this, I'm trying to think of another word than light. There's like a groundingness to it, but it's filled with light and like elation and um even in the hard times and the hardships that are created, there's this knowing that everything that is being created is for a purpose, which is my spiritual growth. And so if I can just, put my focus on that, that's where that lightness experience starts to happen. Um, and for me, like, it really is about a focus rather than a feeling. I think that's the other big
Mhm.
difference, is that I was constantly looking to feel good and to feel okay. And that was like, okay, so what can I do to control things to make sure that I feel good? Or what can I do to avoid something in order to feel good? And that good feeling like didn't even really feel that good
Mhm.
back then. Like if it did, it was for a short period of time before I was like, oh gosh, I don't feel good again. What can I do? I need to feel good. I need to feel good. Um, and that went for anything, my health, my relationships, money, my business. Like I was just seeking feeling good. And now it's like that's not what I'm seeking. I'm seeking the focus of God. And when my focus is on God instead of my focus on feeling good, that's also like a huge difference that makes this experience of like a lightness, whether there's something really hard happening or not. In my business, that was challenging to be able to make that shift. Especially because like my branding and like people who had gone through coaching before with me that didn't have this foundation of God, um, I was in this place of like, what are people going to think? And how is this going to, make me look? And so the beginning was very challenging, and like, how much of the work do I need to change?
Mhm.
Like, what if it wasn't of him? And what is it going to be now that I know him? And really come to find out like the core work that I do, which is this 180 method, um, was him all along. I just didn't recognize him or was giving him the credit for what he had given me as far as this course. And then also, as I started reading the Bible, and like I'd find little pieces in there and be like, oh my gosh, that's where this spiritual concept or this metaphysical concept or this concept that this person said and became this theory and this formula came from Jesus. Like he said it first. And we've just been taking from, pieces from the Bible and kind of tweaking them a little bit to fit more of a general perspective, but it was all right there. So everything that I had learned about metaphysics and new thought age movement stuff, like it was there and it was just extracted out, pieces. So it's now there's just like this. I shifted my brand completely about a year ago, and it's just been this really beautiful evolution. And like when I did like the folding in of all the layers coming together,
Mhm.
and it just makes it really fun.
That just got me like so excited. I love that God can be found in so many places. And this is something that I've been learning recently too, because I've spent a lot of the last few years studying out like trauma informed uh, therapy modalities and things like that, and like polyvagal theory, which you probably know about, but just how when you go to the word and you go to Jesus, he proves these things that scientists are like, aha, we discovered something such and such. And you're like, actually,
Uh,
yes, you found that this is something that exists, but it's because like Jesus made this pattern, like God made this pattern, and it's just so cool. It blows my mind. So you mentioned the 180 method, which for anyone listening is a program that I have been through. It's absolutely amazing. But I would love for you to share a little bit about what that is, because I think it's so unique in the coaching industry. It's such a powerful and unique tool.
yeah.
So I'd love for you to share like what is the 180 method?
Yeah. I mean, talk about from pain to passion.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the 180 method is. Okay, so there's this problem that we have as human beings where we tend to take things on in a different way in hopes that it's going to change or be different. But that different way you think you're taking on is really the same way. It just maybe in a disguise, like it's disguised as different, but really it's the same thing, and ends up being a 360 cycle. And so we have these 360 cycles that we're in life. And if you think about what a 360 is, well, let me show it. Okay, so I'm going to do 360, and here we go, and here we go, and all the way around, and then boom. What happens?
Mm-hmm.
We end up in the same place we started. So there's all this work that's done that only ends up having us like right where we started. And it's a lot of reason why traditional self-help models don't work long term. Like they can work short term, but not necessarily long term, because you're stuck in a 360 cycle. So the 180 method is the right directional shift in which you are able to get out of that 360 and actually be in a 180 place that's different from where you've always been, that creates that long lasting change and effect that you want and also need. And there's 4 pillars to the 180 method. There's the golden key, there's the healing formula, there's the 360 human pain cycle, and then there's the mastering life cycle.
So good. So good. I mean, it's impossible to go in depth into any of the pillars right now, but it's been so fun to like go through the process and actually see how when you learn these steps, it's very natural.
Yeah.
So another thing that I've seen in like the self-help is there's a lot of gritting your teeth and like, I'm going to change the way that I'm doing this. I'm going to change my mindset. Like you're just telling yourself like gritting it out. But when the going gets hard, you end up in that 360 place, right? Instead of the 180 place that you're talking about, where you're able to just plug into these formulas that you're talking about and shift the way that you're experiencing what you're experiencing and move forward. And
like naturally,
naturally,
that's that key word. Yeah.
Yes, the natural part of it. It doesn't take all of this like gritting your teeth and you know pushing through. So I love that about the methodology. And I had mentioned before we started recording, like I was re-looking at my notes, and I would love to talk about the golden key if you're up for it. So if you want to share with us what the golden key is and why it's so powerful, that would be super amazing.
Yeah. So the golden key is, I call it the golden key because it is truly golden. It has to do with how circumstances are created. And so when I talk to people, you know, about like circumstances and clients who maybe have done a lot of work before, or like brand new to kind of this self-help industry and realm. And I ask like, okay, so do you believe that you create your circumstances? And oftentimes the answer is yes. But when I get into how circumstances are created, the typical answer I get is that something around like, well, I know that I can't control what happens, but I can control my choice to what happens. So
Right.
it has something to do with like choosing how you react to the circumstances that are happening. Where that is true, yes, but it's only part of the truth. And it's this whole other piece that's missing around the creation of the circumstance. And the choices that you're making related to the circumstance come from somewhere. So where those choices come from are either going to be that forced place of like, okay, I have to affirm my way out of this so that I have a different choice so that I get a different result.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that. Or you're like trying to use human behaviors like control or defensive or avoidance or manipulation to, make a choice that's going to try and get you a different circumstance. And so it's just messy. When you can actually learn how you create the circumstances and look at the creation part of the circumstances, that's what the golden key is all about. It's really truly uncovering that wisdom of how we are as human beings creating and impacting our circumstances and relationships in life.
It's just so powerful. And honestly, the first time people hear it, at least me, and I don't know, maybe other people, but at least for me, I was like a little bit annoyed.
Yeah.
Because you hear all the time, like you can, like you said, you can control your reaction to things and, those kinds of things. But when you are given, you're like handed the responsibility of like, okay, you create your circumstances. Part of you wants to get defensive and throw your hands up and be like, well, what are you talking about? This and this and this happened to me. Yes. And what are the things, the responses that you're having and the patterns that you're continuing in that are creating those circumstances to happen over and over again? And it's so empowering. It
Yeah.
really is empowering once you can grab hold of that you have more control over what happens next in your life than you think.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Oh, it's so true. I'm going to offer up the word power. Like you truly have the power to create then. I mean, you already do. Again, coming back to like made in his image, like he's creator, we are creators. So we have that power to create as well. And it's just a matter of where are you creating from and what do you believe in what you're creating. And like it's so interesting. I mean, especially when you're talking about trauma, and that it very much so is like, well, I didn't create that happening to me.
Right.
There's this part of the to me language is very powerful. It's not the end all be all, but it's very powerful. And that to me, like immediately puts us in the victim place.
Right.
And although trauma obviously we call it trauma for a reason, it's traumatic and it's hard and it hurts and there's pain and sorrow and anger and all these emotions that are connected to it. So it can be very challenging to then be looking at how did I create that? But like your point, there's this beautiful, like actual releasing and surrendering that happens when you can stop fighting against it.
Mm-hmm.
It stops putting you in that victim place, whether you're conscious to it or not. That's what happens when we're in the, well, nope, I didn't create that.
Mm-hmm.
That this like that powerful, that power that we're talking about starts to come through, even though you're surrendering. It's like this incredible power through surrender.
Mm-hmm.
That happens. And that's then when changes start occurring that get you out of 360 cycles.
Yes.
And the 180 starts to happen. So that's why this golden key is the first pillar in that 180 method.
Yeah. As someone with a trauma history like I have, again, the language around this I had a choice. Like, am I going to be irritated with this? Because there's a certain amount of comfort, I want to say, into being in that victim
Yeah.
mode. I wouldn't have called it a victim mode, but like, this happened to me.
Yeah.
So what are you saying?
Yeah.
But there's also, with that surrender, like you talked about, there's been so much power in understanding like the recreation of it, the recreation of the scenario again and again and again, and the way that it has affected my life and triggered me over and over again. That is something that I do have the power to change.
Yes.
And that is where, like, there's been so much freedom for me personally, like with this golden key and with the other pillars, of seeing like that recreation is not something that has to happen. I
Yeah.
don't have to go back there over and over again.
No, and the biggest change or difference in that too, in what you're saying, is that being the victim versus playing the victim.
It's good.
And that's that distinction of, we're playing the victim when it's like in that comfort place of, no, like that happened to me, versus you are the victim, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about feel to heal, because this is
Okay.
something you talk about all the time. And I also love like just the freedom that there is in that as well.
Yeah.
So feel to heal is something you say a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean and why is it so important?
Okay, I feel like I need to get a little bit of context to that. So just like back up a second of like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a difference between feelings and emotions.
Yep.
And God designed us so simply, like the power comes in simplicity, not complexity,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so he designed us to have really three emotions: sad, angry, happy. Like that's it. Super simple, three emotions. But when it comes to feelings, those feelings on a human level, there is so many feelings: frustrated, overwhelmed, peeved, like upset, lonely, sorrowful, helpless, hopeless. Like there's so many feelings, and every feeling has an emotion attached to it. So when I talk about feel to heal, it's really about being able to express the emotions that are connected to how we're feeling. And in expressing those emotions, what happens is, think about the word expression. It's like literally getting it out. It's like that express gets
Mm-hmm.
it out. Whereas if we're not expressing, then we're suppressing and it's stored. And when it's stored, then we're using that to like draw upon for later things in life, new circumstances that like just kind of keep proving where we've been at, or proving the 360 cycles, or that this keeps happening to me, or whatever our stories are to be true. And so that's why the expression of like feel to heal, in order to have healing, we got to get out what's been stored and suppressed. And the only way that happens is through connecting to the feeling and expressing the emotion that's connected to that feeling.
Yes, so good.
Yeah.
I've thought of that. I think it was day one that you talked about that expressing and what that means. Um, I mean, I like think of like popping a pimple, like, it's just like it's got to come out.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's just festering inside.
totally.
But the simplicity of it, and knowing that when I'm like, okay, I'm frustrated. Why am I feeling frustrated? What is it about this that's frustrating? And going down deeper and deeper to like, I'm sad. I'm sad. Okay, let's cry. I know probably quite a few of the listeners here are like me, where crying has become a challenge.
Yeah.
Um, because it's been dangerous, or because we've numbed out, or we're dissociating, or whatever. And one of my goals, like week one
Yeah.
with you, Alejandra, was like, I want to be able to cry more.
Yeah.
Okay, girl, I cry like every day.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's so good. It's so amazing to learn how simple like the simplicity, like you're saying, of those emotions, and how if we can just get down to the root and be brave and express them,
Yes.
there's so much healing that happens there.
Yes.
It's
I
beautiful.
mean, it's so true. And it's like, as children, it's so innate in us. Like, you fall and scrape your knee and it hurts, you express that through crying and, yelling, maybe even. So there's like maybe sadness and anger attached to the feeling of pain, and it's so natural to do that. And we've just forgotten, because of the circumstances and experiences that we've been through in life, how to do that as an adult. So that's why, like, and if you think about the child, it's part of healing. It's like, in order to heal the scraped knee, like, I got to get out how you're feeling in order for it to feel better. So
Yeah, absolutely. I know also a theme that comes up again and again is just how a lot of the ways that we respond are based on behaviors that we had or have to try to keep us safe.
yes.
So it's that feeling of safety, which I talk about a lot. Safety is so important. Felt safety is so important for healing. But what is it about safety and that sense of safety that affects the way that we behave? How are our behaviors intertwined with safety?
Yeah. It's human nature. Like, we're hardwired to want to feel safe, and if we go back to God and our source of creation, like, we were never meant to be separated from him, but because of the fallen world and sin entering into the world, and I'm going to use the acronym of selfish independent nature, that selfish independent nature, like, separated us from him. And so there's that sense of unsafety because of that, and we were never truly meant to experience that, so it becomes even more heightened in our human nature. And there's a part of the brain that's directly connected to that too, which is the amygdala. And it's constantly asking us this question: am I safe? Am I safe? How about now? Am I good now? Am I all right now? And when we don't feel safe, we will revert into something called a hijack. And in that hijack, we're seeking safety. We just want to feel safe again, because it feels so uncomfortable to not have that, again, safe place, because we weren't just meant to live like this. So behaviors are a way for us to try and find safety. And as children, when we learn behaviors, because behaviors are learned, it's not like we're born with whatever kind of behaviors that we're doing, but they're learned, and they're learned at a time that we didn't feel safe. So there was some kind of trauma or hardship or challenge occurring. And so we didn't feel safe, but we couldn't, like, verbalize, hey mom, I don't feel safe with you and dad arguing about, a money. I know it has nothing to do with me, but I don't feel good about, like, we couldn't verbalize that. All we knew was, just don't feel good and it doesn't feel safe. And so, maybe observing a parent being controlling or avoiding or defensive, and we learn how to do that. There's this benefit that comes from that takes away that unsafe feeling. And then it's like our mind attaches to that behavior, and it's like the only way then to feel safe again is to just keep doing these behaviors.
Yeah. It's super eye-opening and again, it's simple. Like, there's a benefit attached, that hidden benefit that we talk about. There's a benefit attached to this behavior that I use over and over and over again, which is also, we could go down the rabbit hole of, like, this is where addiction comes from and all of that. But to be able to start to recognize that, yes, that behavior did keep you safe. It did have a role, but it doesn't have to be that role anymore. Like, it's not necessary now.
Right.
And that's where that, like, 180 shift happens, right?
Exactly. And I say that a lot, like, what saved you as a child kills you now as an adult.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love all of this. Like I could literally talk about this stuff
I
all
know, I
day. It
could
just
too.
it just psychs me up, like makes me feel all nerdy and
I'm
awesome.
like, oh, let's talk about this and let's talk about this. And yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I would love to cover, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
that original illusion, because I
Oh
know that
God.
for me,
Yes.
that was like
What? I
mind blowing to
I
me.
remember you sent me a text after that and you were like, dang, girl.
Yes.
Like one of my
Yes.
favorite moments is getting that text.
Oh,
Dang.
yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of blew my mind. I was like, whoa, Alejandro's like a magician. Just because we got down to that original illusion. So can you share like what does that mean, the original illusion? And why maybe I said dang girl.
Yes. Okay. This is so rich, juicy, and deep, y'all. So strap
Mhm.
in.
Okay.
Okay, so we all have an ego, right? And ego is and by ego, I don't mean that like, oh, check me out and how awesome I am. That's not what I mean. That's more like egotistical. What I mean
Mhm.
by ego is like that part of us that is in our human aspect. And we haven't touched on that. So let me just quickly say there's two parts to us. There's the human and the being. And the human is everything physical, which is our body and our soul. And in the soul part of us is the mind, the will, the emotions, the behaviors, beliefs, ambitions, like anything and everything that you can think of when we talk about who we are. But the being is our spirit. And that's what we really are.
Mhm.
And so there's really no identity attached to the being spirit part of us. On the human side, we have this ego, which I use the acronym of edging God out. And that ego needs identity. And that identity is actually formed at a really young age. It's kind of crazy because it's formed like at the time that we recognize what our name is. So like Gabi being your birth name or Alejandra being my birth name, when we're born, like we don't know that. It's just a bunch of clicks and sounds and noises at that point.
Mhm.
But eventually there comes this point where the mind clicks because someone says, Gabi
Mhm.
or Alejandra, and then it's like, oh, okay, that's who I am. And there's this like birthing of the ego at that moment.
Wow.
And in that moment, there is an illusion. So that's the original illusion. Like there was an originating point that this illusion was present. And the moment that we recognized our name is us and that illusion is there, we attached that illusion to our identity. And so it became, I am Alejandra and I am whatever that illusion or identity was that we took on. And then that illusion from our identity through the ego has been mirrored back to us in everything. It's almost like putting on a pair of glasses. Like the moment the ego was born and that original illusion was there, it's like we put on these glasses and then all we can see everywhere we look, everywhere we, are in life is we're seeing through that filter of that identity.
Yeah.
Did I
That's
explain? Because that's
yeah.
deep. Did I explain it like you know it? So does it make sense?
It does. I mean, it makes sense to me for sure.
Okay.
I loved just hearing it repeated, especially with the glasses, how everything is just filtered through that lens.
Yeah.
Like literally everything.
Yeah.
And then when you find out what your original illusion is,
Yep.
which it's different. There's
Yeah.
different ones. Um, how that like has affected my life has been so significant to know like, oh, this is really how I identify is, and for me, like it's I am bad.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I am bad. um, and how learning that has been so, I mean, it broke my heart at first to know like that was the first thing that I attached to myself. But later we learn like the power of even knowing that part of our identity and
Oh, yeah.
knowing like really there's a redemption story at work always in
Always.
all of us to get us into that being part of ourselves, that relationship with God, that togetherness and oneness with God. But you can't really get there if you don't know how you're separated, you
Exactly.
know? And
So
so understanding the truth of like, this is the illusion that I have. And so my life is about getting back into alignment with who I am in God. Like, it's beautiful. And I think everyone should go through the 180 method.
and that right there is the 180 method.
Yeah. Yes. So thank you for this masterclass.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
So good. I just appreciate you so much, Alejandra. I'd love to give you the opportunity to share anything else in closing that you'd like to share. Also, please let us know how we can connect with you, like outside of this space, and what kind of coaching you offer and all of that kind of stuff, because I'd love people to be able to connect with you.
Yeah. I mean, just in closing, like I'm just honored to be here and get to share. And I just love you so much. And I'm so excited for what you're doing and using your voice and stepping out. And just it's incredible. And how many people you're going to impact with this. So you can find me on Instagram. I'm the Baller Coach. Because my name is really hard to spell and long. It's Alejandra Crisafulli, like that's a mouthful and hard to spell. So just really simply the Baller Coach. And you can also find me on YouTube. I'm starting a YouTube channel where I'm going to be just teaching a lot of this stuff and a lot of different things, starting off with a happiness challenge. And so you can find me there as well. Same thing, the Baller Coach. And as far as coaching, I do group coaching and also one-on-one coaching. And anybody that's interested in finding out more can, again, find me on Instagram or YouTube and sign up for a complimentary coaching session where we can discuss what's going to be the best fit for you. And is this 180 method right for you at the time of your life that you're in right now?
Amazing. And I'll be sure to include all of that in the show notes. So if you're listening, go check out the show notes and all of her links will be there so you can get connected with Alejandra and everything that she's doing. I hope that this really impacted people the way that it's impacted me. I know that we're just so blessed that you have spent this time with us. Thank you so much, my friend. You're incredible. And I'm sure that we'll connect soon. And thank you to our listeners. If you liked this, please let us know. Leave a review, comment, rate, all the things. And we'll get this message out to as many people as we can. Okay. All right. Talk to you later, friend.
Bye.
Bye.